Hi, Inanna from Harmony Health and Wellness Spa here with Dr. Dean Lloyd to get some information about oxygen and its function in the body. Hi, Dean.
Hi, Nana.
Hi, thanks so much for joining us. Hey, I wanted to find out if you could give us some primer information on how does oxygen, O2, function in the body?
Okay, most everybody knows O2, two oxygen singulates, two atoms that combine to make the oxygen molecule, is required for life. Without it for 3 minutes and you'd be dead. So if you are breathing and getting oxygen in, provided it's from a good source, right, clean air, you don't get it oxygen contaminated from a variety of different pollutants, then you're doing what the body needs to with good breath, getting where it needs to go, get the oxygen in the bloodstream so that it's nice and bright red. And what the oxygen will do is it will take the cell and provide it with its proper function. It's the element that is required for all cells to function, meaning that energy production, when you're running, you're taking in oxygen so you can burn up fuel. Okay, that means your body requires more oxygen to do the activity. If you are sleeping, you don't breathe as deep, you require oxygen just to keep the body functioning, the heart pumping, the brain working, and so on. So obviously, the function of oxygen in the body is to make everything in your body, all systems, operate. And the most important aspect that we'll be talking about is how to introduce oxygen effectively, safely, and for a purpose. And I'm all yours for those questions, so go ahead.
Okay, great. So with the function and purpose that you mentioned, how does oxygen stimulate change and growth in the cells? What happens when the cells get what they need, which is oxygen?
Right, it is burning up the cell that's dying so that a new one can be formed, right? And you're having life and death every time you take a breath. You're inhaling oxygen and you're giving out less oxygen when you exhale, right? You're exhaling carbon dioxide. And when you get the oxygen into the tissues, this is an important point, you're changing the environment so that it can detoxify. Okay. If you're not getting oxygen to the cells, you become anaerobic. That's the term we use. That means that you're getting less oxygen. And less oxygen isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just that it's not efficient if you do it a lot. All right. There's anaerobic exercise, for example, which is weightlifting, for one example. Okay. There's aerobic exercise like running, okay, or swimming. And what you do is you want to get the oxygen metabolism operating at its full potential so that it can be able to draw on oxygen when it needs it, enable your body to correctly take in the breath, right? And also get it from other sources. Now, you know that water is H2O, right? That means oxygen, right? And you also know that when you're getting oxygen and you look at an oximeter, for those that don't know, that's a way of measuring your blood oxygen, not your tissue oxygen, but blood oxygen. And you're within a proper range, which is roughly between 89, 90 and 95, 96. Okay, that's a range that people should be staying in to function. You don't want the oxygen to be too much in one place, not enough in another. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, when you take in oxygen and it goes through the lungs into your system, it's delivered through the lungs to the bloodstream. But if you get too much oxygen, you can hyperventilate, right? The body can't handle it. So if you get too little oxygen, you go hypoxic, which means you're suffocating the cells. What you want to do is create, and this is an interesting term here, but respiration of the cells, not just breathing in, but getting the cells to take in oxygen and the potential that you're able to get that exchange so the oxygen goes in the cell and it does its job. It takes away toxins, it generates energy, it goes to the tissues to provide them with nutrients. You got to be able to get enough oxygen to do the job that the body's meant to do. And very often people are not even aware that they're suffering from low levels of oxygen, even though they look at an oximeter on their finger and they say, oh, well, I guess I'm fine. Well, that's only one way of measuring it. You want to get oxygen to the brain, and that means delivering it to the brain. There's ways of doing that, okay? And we have a therapy that provides you a way of accessing your oxygen metabolism in such an efficient way that you can turn on the switches that enable you to get the oxygen when you need it and tone it down a little when you don't. There's herbs, for example, that can enhance that oxygen delivery system, for example, and 24% of the effective ingredient in ginkgo biloba, which many people have heard of. It also helps cognitive function. That's just one example of many, many, many examples. But we're focusing today on the therapy that your spa offers, and this is an aerobic hydrotherapy. And that delivery of oxygen is going through water, which is so simple. You get it in the water and it's delivered onto the skin. And as it gets into your body, you start to stimulate the oxygen metabolism and offer it to you so your body gets a kind of aerobic workout, which is really wonderful for people that are injured, for people that are trying to get out of a very stagnant place, or they're lethargic, or they're fatigued, or people who are wanting to get the most out of their exercise. We're talking about creating balance, okay? And to create balance, you want the correct communication from the main control center, which is the brain, that sees that this oxygen is available to it. Then it doesn't have to work so hard to get that oxygen. So that's a very small synopsis, but it gives you an idea or a picture of how oxygen can be taken into the body without doing invasive procedures. Some people need extra help for oxygen throughout the day, like with a cannula, right, and an oxygen tank, and the need for keeping oxygen in a higher concentration, right, and than their environment would allow them. So they have to be hooked up because they have some malady or disease that prevents them from getting enough oxygen just from breathing. So we have to, provide them with that kind of oxygen. What we're talking about here is providing you with a lot of oxygen through the water, which is a singulate, actually. It creates a hydroxyl radical. That's a term we're using to create OH or HO, either one. But H2O, and combining it with O3, which is ozone, makes that happen. And it's a complex but beautiful process that we've been able to do and make it available to you. So all you have to do is sit in this thing, a tub. It's a beautiful, event that takes place. You just spray the water on your skin, and you steam up, and you feel comfortable in there, and you're just spraying away. And as the treatment goes on, the body is like a sponge, and it's saturated with oxygen. And the body, by the end, is so full of oxygen, it's like an aerobic workout.
So the saturation in the blood, in the tissues, and eventually into the brain boosts overall body function. It generates energy and helps the body break down or metabolize toxins that could be preventing the body from having its optimum experience.
Well, you understand that when you say mobilize, it's releasing that. Yes, that is correct. But what you're really doing is simultaneously delivering nutrients. Okay, you're detoxifying when you're getting your body gives off waste, right? I mean, your body has to eliminate what it doesn't need. It has to attach itself to oxygen for that to happen.
Oh,
Anything that you you know sweat out of your body has to be attached to oxygen. Your breathing out has to be attached to oxygen. So oxygen is multifunctional. Think of it as the way that we are able to change everything. And if you blow on a fire, what is making that happen? That it gets burned when you blow on a fire to make it bigger, right? What is making that happen? It's the oxygen, because it generates the fire. It makes it so that it burns more efficiently and faster. And when it has oxygen, that makes it so that you can use the fuel that, say wood, make it wood burning fire, you blow on it, gets bigger. Okay, so you're providing oxygen to make that exchange, make that transition happen from wood to ash and create heat, all right, generating heat. That's what goes on in your body too. And you have to have an efficient oxygen metabolism for everything to work properly. And it's such a big piece, and it's being missed in such an amazing amount of information is being put out for things that are related to the oxygen therapies these days. Hyperbaric chamber, obviously using oxygen, as I mentioned earlier, for the reasons for people with conditions like emphysema and hypoxia, right? Okay, these are two conditions, but you're realizing that we need more oxygen in our body to keep our immune system up, for
yeah.
example. And we have to do that. We're in an age that's so just riddled with toxic environment from almost every direction. So I'm wanting to share with you just a little bit of the foundation of what oxygen is needed in everybody's life if you're really trying to make these things work better for you, right? I'm mentioning the immune system, your fatigue, sleeping pattern, obviously, if you want to get more out of your exercise. So I could talk all day about this, as you can
No,
see.
it's exciting. It's exciting to know that we have opportunities to give ourselves the quality of life and the quality of health that we seek, right? And so making choices to, it sounds like move the body, exercise the body, hydrate the body, those are really basic. But as in everyday, um, nothing really happens without the oxygen in the system. And so we're here to make it easy, here to educate, here to uplift and improve the quality of life at the Harmony Health and Wellness Spa. We have added in a pure O2 oxygen spa room, and we've been using the Ozone hydrotherapy, the aerobic spa that Dean is so versed in. And there are multiple ways for us to help you folks get what you need to feel better, to feel more energized, to enhance all areas of basic body and blood function. So I appreciate your time today, Dean. Any words of wisdom you'd leave us with?
Oh, there's just so much more to say. If you'd like to, just call on me and we'll just target these different areas of interest, and I'll be happy to elaborate. I've got a lot of answers people don't even have knowledge of their own question in regards to. So just give me whatever you want in terms of questions, and I will take email questions as well. So if you
Okay.
want to forward them off to me, then you can get the answers that way as well.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again for your time, Dean, and for your expertise, and look forward to seeing you in the ozone room.
Beautiful. Have a
Thank you.
good one. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.